Hey everyone, welcome to That's Peculiar. I'm Nathan.
I'm Andra.
And I have an episode today. I actually don't have a fun fact though. Whoops.
I don't know that I do either.
Oh well, that's fine. We'll skip one today. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so today we are going to talk about the Cecil Hotel in LA.
Interesting. I know nothing about the Cecil Hotel.
Really? You don't know anything about the Cecil Hotel?
Mm-mm.
Huh. That's very interesting. I thought you would know something about it.
Nope.
Okay. Well, all right. Let's dive into this crazy story. The Cecil Hotel is in downtown Los Angeles, and it's not your typical fancy hotel. It is pretty dark. And it's packed with, the story of it is packed with suicides, murders, and then just weird things since it first opened.
Wow. I'm excited.
Yes. So the Cecil Hotel is originally opened to be a super fancy, magnificent hotel, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But it's weird things are happening, and it becomes more like a magnet for bad luck and creepy things. Yeah. So it's literally a real life example of how things can totally go wrong, turning a place into dreams that has become freaky. Really,
turning a place into dreams.
Of dreams. Yeah, it was like, yeah. So in December 20th, 1924, the Cecil Hotel opened, and it was designed to be the go-to spot for business and tourists who are visiting LA. Okay. So the people that created it wanted it to be the best of the best, a real gem in the middle of the city. And you could tell that they put a lot of work into it just by looking at it when it first opened. The architect was Loy Lester Smith, and he designed it in the style called the Beaux Arts. And the lobby was gorgeous. Like, there was marble everywhere, stained glass windows, palm trees, and alabaster statues. Okay.
It kind of sounds like Palm Springs.
It's supposed to be just absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, they spent up $1.5 million building it in 1924.
Which would be like, what, $20,000? I meant $20 million today.
I thought you were going with 20,000, like, because there's the way our market's not doing so hot right now.
Or that. Yeah, honestly, both. Both is right.
So this place opened in a really good location on Main Street. It was close to train lines, which made it easier for business people and travelers to head to the financial district or the theater people going to see shows on Broadway. And it's funny because they even named the Cecil Hotel after a hotel in London. The Cecil Hotel.
Wow.
Yes.
How does that work?
I don't know. It's just, I think it was different in 1924.
Yeah, it's like there has to be some sort of
something like that. But the London Hotel, it was actually a symbol of class, international fame, and so it really gave the idea of what this hotel was trying to do. And the fact that they had it's the place to be, and the fact that they had spent that much money looked so grand because this was when LA was booming, and it shows that they were very confident and how big a deal this hotel would be.
Right.
So that's why it makes this weird transition into being known for all the wrong reasons. Kind of dramatic. Okay.
Ready.
So the good times lasted for only a few years, because that's when the stock market crashed in 1929.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. So the Great Depression hit, and that really messed up with the Cecil Hotel's like vibe of the downtown area.
Right.
And so the area that it is, that's the area that became known as Skid Row.
Okay.
So that's where people would end up when they were down on their luck.
Yep.
Okay. So as the area around the hotel got worse,
I think it actually lasts worth.
Lathworth. So as the area got worse, the Cecil Hotel wasn't as appealing to travelers and business people, obviously, but also people I feel like weren't traveling as much during the Great Depression just because everything was so expensive.
Right.
So because it wasn't as appealing anymore to be in that area and then the downturn of the economy, it turned into a cheaper option, including attracting people who needed a place to stay long term and for the people on the fringes of society who were just looking for a cheap room.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like hourly
I'm sure that there were hourly rates if
by
you
the minute.
yeah, if you find I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
So to make things even worse for the Cecil Hotel is they didn't actually plan for parking.
Which actually I think a lot of places in LA did that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were close to a train station. I figured they thought people would just
Come
walk
from the train.
places or taxi places. Not everybody had a car at the time because, so early in
Yeah.
time.
But now LA has expanded so far that that would suck.
And as people started driving more, it hurt the hotel, making it less convenient to stay, which also sped up its decline into being a undesirable location to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks for them.
So the bad economy and then the changing of the neighborhood's aesthetics changed the Cecil's story, taking it way off track and into its pretty grim future. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just about the money. There was just a really disturbing amount of deaths.
Okay.
So there was the first suicide that they have on record was in January of 1927 when a guy, Percy Orman Cook, shot himself.
That was before the Depression.
Just like they
Right
opened and
before.
then only a couple years later it started to get bad and then the depression definitely didn't help.
Oh man.
Yes. And that was just the start of the darkness of this hotel. So throughout the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s, a ton of people offed themselves, which is weird because the hotel ended up getting a nickname called the Suicide. Yeah. And the guests, the way that they would, decide to off themselves in a lot of different ways: poison, guns, jumping out windows. There's a lot of.
Two of those could be murder.
I'm sure there's quite a few murders that actually happen at the Cecil Hotel.
Hmm.
So there was a particularly messed up death in 1937. Grace Magro was found dead on the sidewalk with telephone wires twisted all around her after falling from the ninth floor.
And she fell.
It says she fell, but did she fall? Did she jump? Was she pushed? We don't
Well,
know.
telephone wires, even in LA, are not typically at the trajectory of. They're not like right next to the building.
I don't know how they were set up in the 30s. They could have done a lot of changing of things around too.
I don't think they have, though. When you look at like I mean, there has been some. They used to be like hanging lower. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I guess you're right. Think of like Angel's Camp and how that one, the old line is still there and it hangs
Yes.
super low. So
Yes.
maybe.
I think, but also, like, I mean, if she was wrapped around, I mean, it could be she attempted to jump, missed, got tangled. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could have definitely, yeah, sad stuff. Then in
Sad.
1962, Pauline Auden jumped from the ninth floor. I don't know what it is with this ninth floor, and
Yeah.
She landed on top of George Giannini, who was an older guy who was just happened to be walking there, and they both died.
Oh my God. Can you imagine just like walking and somebody hits you?
Minding your own business, and all of a sudden you're just collapsed and dead underneath somebody.
Okay, I just had like a small little side tangent, but it's
Yeah.
really funny.
We're going to funny, and we're talking about a dark hotel.
I know, trust me, it fits. Eighth grade
No.
graduation dance.
Okay.
Picture this. I was over by the chocolate fountain.
Of course you were.
Avery Walker was up on the stage boogieing it, digging, whatever she was doing. And I decide to leave the chocolate fountain and I walk by and she literally jumps off the stage and same thing
Oh, she jumped on top of you?
hit me. And then we both like fell to the ground and I was just like, I was sitting there just like, what just happened?
Why did she jump off the stage?
Great question, Avery Walker. Can you answer that?
What possessed her to just be like, I'm going to jump off the stage
Yeah.
now and not look at the people down below?
Two of us were just like on the ground in our dresses, our 8th grade graduation dresses, just like,
What
and
happened?
I think our heads bumped. So what I'm saying is it hurt from
Yeah.
somebody from like, a stage height.
Yeah, like 3 feet maybe.
Yeah, that hurt. I can only imagine just walking down the street and somebody jumped from the 9th floor and hit you.
I have to wonder, like, for the old guy, like, it had to have happened pretty quickly. I doubt he felt anything.
I hope
no.
No.
So too. That's my only like request of universe, whatever.
Yeah.
If I gotta go, make it quack, make it quick.
Make it quack.
Make it quack. I'm now gonna get killed by a duck or something. Make it quick, make it painless.
Yeah. Oh, poor guy.
I know.
Sorry, keep going.
So
Sorry.
the fact that there were so many different like suicides and in so many different ways, was there something wrong with the hotel, reflecting the sadness of the people staying there, or just this general feeling of doom around the hotel itself? Besides the suicides, the Cecil Hotel also had its share of accidents and then weird deaths. So in 1944, Dorothy Jean Purcell, who didn't know she was pregnant, I don't know how that happens so much, but she gave birth in the hotel bathroom, and thinking the baby was dead, she tossed him out the window.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Is it on the 9th floor?
It didn't say what floor, but she did toss not dead baby out the window.
And they just like,
I don't know. If you're by yourself in the bathroom and your baby's not breathing, I could see that, as you wouldn't think it's alive, but then also my question would be, why is your first thought to throw it out the window?
Yeah, I don't know why. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's hunting my teeth.
That's the worst moment.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Ew, that's fun. Okay.
It was not there this whole time.
It wasn't. And all of a sudden,
it
snuck down my teeth. Oh, goodness. One of the most famous unsolved cases was the 1964 murder of Pigeon Goldie Osgood, who was one of the long-term residents that everyone liked because she fed the birds in nearby Pershing Square.
Got it. So her nickname was probably Pigeon.
Yes, because she fed all the birds. Pigeon Goldie was in quotations.
Got it.
Yeah. She was found in her trashed room. She was raped, stabbed, and beaten, and they never caught who did it.
You just announced that so casually.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I thought she was going to get shot, but then you're saying she was raped, stabbed, beaten.
Uh-huh. And left in her trash room.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this place is messed up. So, yeah. So this brutal murder is just another layer of darkness to the hotel's messed up history and showing that violent crime was happening inside the hotel as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're ready for this one.
I don't know.
Not one, but two notorious serial killers decided to hang out at the Cecil Hotel. And in the mid-1980s, Richard Ramirez, who everyone knew as the Night Stalker.
That's how I know, actually, this hotel. I was thinking it sounded familiar. I heard it, I think, in a different documentary or something.
A lot of, it didn't surprise me because he lived there for a few weeks while he was terrorizing the Los Angeles area. And they say that he actually committed some of his 14 murders while he was staying there. And he was just,
Some of his confessed 14.
yes. And he was just there blending in with the other people passing through. But it's really weird is the story from the hotel clerk who said that Ramirez would come back to the hotel covered in blood and nobody batted an eye.
Ew.
Right? You're showing up covered in blood to a place that you're staying and nobody's like, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Do you need help?
Yeah. Like, but also, like, comes back. So this happened multiple times.
Yes. So while he was staying there for a few weeks, it is said that he would leave, kill,
Yeah.
come back.
I think max, I would let that slide like once and be like, oh, maybe you got a bloody nose. I don't know.
Or you were trying to help someone and they bled all over you. But
Yeah.
like, why are you coming back to the hotel almost every time I see you covered in blood?
Yeah. I'd be like,
I feel like
people call 911 if
I
somebody
feel
repeatedly has blood on them.
yes, and I feel like this is one of like the peak instances of people minding their own business. Like they're
I
like, oh,
mean,
I can't, I'm not getting involved.
I think it's more than just minding your own business. I think it's like full on blinders. Like, you don't see me, I don't see you.
Pretty much, it could be that too. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're staying at the hotel during all this time, it's a really seedy place anyway,
Yeah. There's
and
probably other murderers in
the
there.
less you see, the less unsafe you might feel, even though you know you
Hmm.
probably shouldn't be here. So, and then in 1991, an Austrian serial killer named Jack Unterweger also stayed at the Cecil Hotel.
I don't
So,
know anything about Jack Unterweger.
yeah, but I think it's because he's Austrian, or maybe I don't know. But
I think
people
he'd make
do.
a good episode.
You might have to look into him. People think he actually picked the Cecil Hotel because it was known for Ramirez, and maybe he wanted to be famous for the same kind of reasons of staying there and
Like a
killing
copycat.
people. So while he was there, Unterweger is believed to have killed 3 of the prostitutes in the Los Angeles area. So all of this just keeps adding to this dark reputation of the Cecil Hotel and the violence of it all. And it just really just goes downhill.
Yeah.
And this is in the 90s. So it kind of makes you think about the hotel's rundown vibe and the kind of people who stayed there, creating an environment where these 2 serial killers could do their thing and not be noticed. And then because Unterweger felt confident enough to stay at the Cecil Hotel and be safe is also something that people were it's kind of like, you don't go there because of all this stuff.
Yeah, it's a seedy place. Don't.
Very.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
like Mission Street in San Francisco.
yeah, and then the Tenderloin.
Well, Mission Street is within, well, the
Is that within the
Tenderloin is one
Tenderloin?
street, but like Mission Street is right next to that. That's where there's actually like some hostels and stuff over, like on
No.
Mission Street.
No, thank you. I
Yeah.
remember it was for New Year's, and I did a New Year's Eve fashion show, and it was actually at, like in a warehouse in the Tenderloin area. Yeah,
Oh my God. I
yeah.
actually stayed in a hostel on Mission Street. Which is why
Really?
I'm like, that's a
I,
seedy place. Don't go there.
yeah.
Like, we had to
Hindsight
have a
2020.
code. We had to have a code to even get into the door because it was like constantly on lockdown. And like, I totally watched somebody break into a car, and
Yeah, actually, I saw someone
I
break into a
was,
car one time in San Francisco. It wasn't the Tenderloin,
yeah,
but they just smash and grab. It's
yeah,
crazy.
that's what this guy did. And you know what? I did exactly what these other people do. My head was down. I was right next to him as he was stealing, and I was like, you know what?
I don't want to die.
I actually didn't think that. He felt pretty harmless to me, the fact that he was smashing. Yeah, I don't know why I thought he was pretty harmless. Like, if he came up to a physical person, like a
Yeah.
person coming up to him, like,
You feel like
oh, I'll fight you. But I think he would have maybe mugged me. so I just didn't pay attention.
Yeah, that's why I think a lot of times people get away with stuff because people are like, I don't want to potentially get injured.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't.
There's one of the more recent crimes, and I think you've heard of this
So
one. What?
this last one, remind me the date. So this Austrian serial killer
That was in
was
1991.
okay, 1991, and then okay, go ahead. More
Okay.
recent.
So the more recent one is this one made headlines across, I think, the world and the internet. It was what happened to Elisa Lam in 2013.
Oh, I don't know anything about this case, but it sounds, I think I've seen like a headline and I think I've seen, is there like a story about it?
Yeah, so Lam, she was a 21-year-old student from Canada, and she was traveling by herself, and she checked into the hotel in late January 2013. The last time that anyone saw her alive was January 31st, which was the day she was supposed to check out. So,
Aw.
yeah, when her parents didn't hear from her, they did report her missing on February 8th. So, literally 8 days after not hearing from her. And then
Right, so they gave it a little bit of time.
yeah, because they say it's not really a missing person's 48 hours or something like that. And then they're probably like, oh, she's traveling, hasn't been able to contact us. Even though everybody has a cell phone, I feel like we'd figure out some
Yeah,
way.
but not, so when I went to Germany, I didn't get the international plan. I'm pretty sure Canada is not included in 2013 in phone plans. I think it is now.
There's still Wi-Fi.
2013 was a little different.
Maybe. I don't know. I have, like, when we went
I
to
know there was like FaceTime, but what if she didn't have an iPhone?
there's Zoom, there's all kinds of
Zoom
apps.
was not as popular in 2013.
Okay, then Skype. Skype was a thing in
Yeah, I
2013.
do think Skype was.
So I could see why I don't know if I'm traveling, my parents are usually pretty like, what you doing? How's it going? Tell us
Hmm.
what's going on. So the cops, they later released security footage on February 13th that showed Lamb acting really weird in one of the hotel elevators. This is when you probably saw, because this is the one the video where she's acting strange and she's pushing all the elevator buttons, going in and out, making odd gestures in the hallway, and then she's talking to someone who isn't there, basically because you couldn't really see who she was talking
I
to.
have seen that, and people have wondered if she was trying to give people like signals of like, can you help
Hmm.
me?
That's the question, because this video went viral, and that made everyone around the world was like, what is going on? So,
Right.
but on February 19th, which was almost 3 weeks after she disappeared, they found Lamb's body. She was naked and in a water tank on the hotel's roof, right? And this was only because only after the guests had started complaining about the water pressure being low and that the water tasted funny.
Oh my God. People drank a decomposing body.
Yeah, I wonder how many people got sick off that.
Ugh.
That's
I wonder how many people are fucked up over that.
I don't
Like anyone normal staying in that hotel that drank the water and was like, it tastes kind of weird.
I
And then
also
found out there was a dead body in their water tank.
if I'm in an old hotel, period, I'm not drinking tap water. I would not have been one of those complaints because I don't drink tap water out of the hotel. The only way that I probably would have noticed was if I was brushing my teeth and it was really gross.
Now I think I might not. I am one. I've stayed at many old hotels and the water was kind of weird, but I just blamed old pipes. But like not so weird. They were like, it was like irony, like old
Yeah, like
pipes.
old pipes. But I still wouldn't want to drink
Yeah,
that.
I didn't care.
So the coroner's office said that she accidentally drowned and that her bipolar disorder was a big factor.
Bipolar disorder, you have full function. You just are hot
That's
and
why
cold.
it's one of those really weird things, because because that didn't stop a million different theories from popping up online. And then some people were talking about how they thought she was murdered by someone at the hotel.
I mean, yeah.
I would think that she was murdered and then dumped, but apparently her body didn't show any of those signs.
Well, how long did it sit in a water tank?
3 weeks ish. That's when they found her. Was 3 weeks after she disappeared.
Also, who the fuck closed the water tank door?
Was the water tank door closed?
I don't know, but wouldn't somebody have noticed an open water tank door?
You would think if they were doing their normal like checks and stuff, like somebody should be going up there and looking, or maybe it's one of those out of sight, out of minds until there's an issue. I don't know what hotel staff do as far as maintenance on the regular.
I mean, I do, but we didn't have at Black Oak. We didn't have a water tank.
Interesting. Well, yeah, it's an old hotel.
I mean,
that's why I would
not
have
that
one.
I knew of, at least. So I didn't do that. I mean, I didn't end up working hotel staff for very long either. I was like bartender in the bistro. So
most restaurant stuff.
yeah.
Some people
in the beginning, so I was there when we opened. Sorry, I was in there in the beginning, and we were opening the hotel. So it was like everyone did everything.
Yeah, everybody helps out everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Some people had darker ideas that it could have been something supernatural. The weird stuff in the video made people think that she was maybe on drugs or she was kind of having some kind of bipolar episode. And the whole thing got a ton of media attention and everyone became an amateur detective trying to solve the mystery. Which makes me think of like, did you ever watch the documentary of Don't F with Cats on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
So there was this video online of a guy and he kills like some kittens on camera and I think he posted it on YouTube.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the whole internet just like came together to try and find this guy. They were sleuthing and yeah, it's a whole thing. You should check it out. I think
Did
it's
they
still on
find
Netflix.
him?
I don't remember. I would have to rewatch it. But basically the idea of that is like, you know, it's on the internet and people will find you.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's gross. People are despicable.
Absolutely.
Some people.
The Elisa Lam case was a really creepy modern part of the Cecil Hotel's story. It just shows how much people are still fascinated by the mysteries and the tragedies that happen even in the internet age. Even though they said it was an accident, all the unanswered questions about her death keep the speculation going and just make the hotel seem even more like a place where weird and scary things happen.
Right.
So this one's interesting too because we don't know, it also can show how complicated mental health can be and how it could play a role in really sad life events. So it leaving a lot of questions and it's just a really uneasy feeling because what if it was just a mental break that she was having?
I've known lots of bipolar people in my life.
Maybe she wasn't medicated.
I've known I'm medicated. The bursts they're in complete control of themselves. They just get freaking like super annoyed. Okay, here's an example. And I don't know if Carol is still alive, but my ex-stepdad's mom, Carol, was super bipolar. And I witnessed this. My mom one day asked her if she would like a cup of coffee. And she said, yeah, I would love some. And my mom asked if she would like creamer. And she said, hazelnut. My mom made the coffee, handed to her, turned around to get her own coffee, and Carol threw it at the wall towards my mom's head.
Oh my
God.
God.
And literally said, I can get my own fucking coffee.
Oh.
That's what I mean. But she was in control of that. Like and she was like on the extreme. And then I've known some people that are not on the extreme, but I've never known anybody who's bipolar that doesn't have like the cognitive, function of like doing something like they're not crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They're not crazy.
But I also don't know her whole, maybe she has something that was
Right.
diagnosed.
Did she have some other stuff and maybe they didn't want to put that out into the world that she's like schizophrenic?
Yeah.
And schizophrenic is a whole other thing.
And she could have been on drugs. Like we really don't know.
Right. I mean, she did stay at that hotel, so.
Okay, so its location on Skid Row connected with the tragedy. Hold on. Okay, so the Cecil Hotel connected to the darkness and the tragedy for a few reasons. Of course, it's the location in downtown Skid Row is a big deal because the poverty of the number of the homeless people in the area also meant that the hotel probably attracted a lot of vulnerable and people that are in trouble, and that could also explain why there was so much crime and suicide. You have people down on their luck, drugs, all kinds of issues, which could lead. It just kind of it breeds an unsafetyness to it.
Right.
Even though the hotel's fancy beau art style was supposed to make it look luxurious and classy, over time, with all the other awful things that were happening, it probably started to feel more gloomy and scary. And all of the suicides, the murders, and the violent things that went down also created that feeling of tragedy and darkness around the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So this story could have also been made things worse, maybe attracting people who were drawn to its bad reputation or people who were just desperate for a place to stay. So the hotel's location didn't just affect who stayed there, but also how safe and secure it felt, like I said.
Right.
And the fact that the building was getting older means that things were falling apart. Maybe it looked a little weird. And then for it being so cheaply, I'm sure it wasn't exactly well maintained for many, many years, which also made for it to be a place for seedy activities to happen.
Psycho number 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that also lends itself to that anonymity because, like we said, people who are going through a hard time or they have no money or they feel unsafe, they don't want to interact with things like that.
Right.
Over the years, the Cecil Hotel has been bought and sold a few times, and people have tried to fix it up. Like in 2014, a hotel guy from New York City, Richard Bourne, he bought it for $30 million. And at the same time, another company from New York, the Simon Barron Development, got a 99-year lease on the land. Before that, in 2011, they even tried to change its name to Stay on Main, probably to try and detract from its past history. And in February 2017, the Los Angeles City Council said that the Cecil Hotel was officially a historic cultural monument. And they did this because it's a good example of early 20th century American hotels, and because the architect who designed it was kind of a big deal. So big renovations started in 2017 to totally redo the inside while keeping the important old parts like the grand lobby.
I think I almost stayed at Stay on Main.
That would be the Cecil Hotel.
We ended up getting an Airbnb, but I almost did stay there.
Probably smarter.
Yeah.
So, of course, COVID-19 hits after just a couple years of 2017, and it stopped.
So this hotel has gone through 2 depressions.
So many things. So the pandemic stopped all the work, and these attempts to rebrand and renovate show that people knew about the hotel's bad image and really wanted to make it new again. But the fact that the renovations got put on hold shows how hard it is to also shake off the dark history of the hotel and how unexpected things can mess up even the best plans.
Are they blaming COVID on the Cecil Hotel?
No, they're just saying maybe.
They're just saying it happened because they decided to renovate it.
Yeah, they're like, of course something would happen when we're trying to fix it up.
Yeah.
So the historic cultural monument thing also makes future plans more complicated because they have to consider the building's history and can't just change everything. So there's protected rules around what they can and cannot do or change or update or all that fun stuff.
Right. The historical building.
Mm-hmm. And so it was closed, during COVID-19. And then on December 13th, 2021, the Cecil Hotel reopened as a place for affordable housing run by a group called the Skid Row Housing Trust. The idea was to provide cheaper living for 600 people on low incomes, and many of them who used to be homeless. But in 2023, there were reports of things inside the hotel that were getting pretty bad, like black mold, bugs, leaks, graffiti, and then just gross shared living spaces.
Right.
A lot of people living there need ongoing help with medical stuff like mental health and addiction, which makes managing it even harder. Plus, they've had trouble filling the rooms, can't imagine why, with almost half of them empty, which has caused money problems for the owners. So turning the Cecil Hotel into affordable housing was a big change in what it was used for, trying to help with the huge problem of homelessness and low income in Los Angeles. But the reports of bad living conditions and money issues, was it really a good idea in the long term? Yeah.
No.
So the fact that the Cecil Hotel, with all of its dark history, is now housing the most vulnerable people brings up serious questions about whether it's the right place for them. I mean, I wonder if do you have to just demolish and start over? That's what I would think.
Demolish it.
So in a big turn of events, though, the the company that owns the Cecil Hotel, Simon Barron Properties, put it up for sale in 2024. What's going to happen after it's sold is anyone's guess, because it's officially a landmark. Whoever buys it will have to think about its historical importance. Oh, they can't demolish it because it's historical. I keep forgetting that part.
Right.
Very important.
Yeah.
So they have to.
That's why I was wondering why they made it historical, because now they can't. Yeah, they can't demo it.
Well,
it's also weird to have a historical building be housing for homeless.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen that go hand in hand. So.
I mean, when you're in an old area like LA, and they made it historical because it was old enough, and the architecture when they bought it was chef's kiss. You know, they put a lot of money into it.
Right.
So, I mean, the things that are to consider, they could go back to being a regular hotel turned into apartments that cost more, or it could stay under as affordable housing under the new owners. But the decision to sell it, just turning it in, the decision to sell it after just turning into affordable housing does suggest that the current way of running it isn't making enough money for the owners, and it creates a lot of uncertainty for the people who are living there right now, and for the future of the availability of affordable housing in tough locations like Skid Row.
Right.
The landmark status will definitely play a big part in what's happening next. It's going to limit what can be done with the building, meaning that they have to be careful about balancing that old with the new, which is the new is what draws a lot of people. But I feel like you can draw people with new and old. But my concern is, like, what's the vibe after all of those bad things happened at the hotel?
It's also like mold, and people have like ruined their apartments.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of demo that must be done on that place.
How much can they get rid of, though? That's a big deal.
Well, I think they can restore it, right?
They could.
So you can
they can restore it, but that's going to cost so much money. How are they going to recoup that?
They wouldn't, unless somebody really rich loves horror films.
Just turn it into a haunted house. It's fine.
Honestly, whoever buys it, each room could be a different theme. Oh, big ass haunted house.
God.
Yeah, that's make it a historic. Look at all the places that have like been for like scary and then turned into like gift shop, and they leaned into it. Whoever owns it next should just, this place is fudged up. Here's a gift shop. Come stay here to get freaked out.
And tour here.
Please don't jump off the 9th floor.
Bars are on the window. Don't try.
Yeah.
So just in closing, the Cecil Hotel, it makes you think about how cities change over time and how we're all fascinated with dark things. I don't know what it is that draws us in, but from being a fancy hotel to becoming one of the most dangerous and evil places, it's a story that is creepy and full of tragedy and mystery. And even though people have tried to clean it up and give it the new image, the Cecil Hotel's dark past is what really draws people to that location.
Yeah. So lean into it, next
That's your
owners.
final thought. Lean into it.
Yeah, just lean into it. Bad things are happening there whether you want it to or not.
Ew, it's so dark.
I know. I'm a pessimist today. The sun is out. It's hot.
The sun is out, so I'm a pessimist.
Yeah. My seasonal depression did leave, but now it's almost too hot, so it's reverted.
Okay. All right, that's the story of the Cecil Hotel so far.
Maybe a pot, two pot.
Maybe? I don't know. Could be in
Like
20
a year?
years.
Maybe in a year there'll be something cool that happens.
We'll see.
Or maybe we'll do like a little blip episode, like a 10-minute. That's it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on That's Peculiar. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on That's Peculiar. Please like, comment, and follow for our weekly episode drops. If you have a peculiar story you would like to hear or share, send us an email at perpetuallypeculiarpod@gmail.com.